As you saw in the previous video, we use a new object of class LoadThumbnailTask to perform the task of loading a thumbnail image in a background thread for performance reasons, and also in general because you're not supposed to access the file system from the main GUI thread of execution. So when we created the load thumbnail task, we then called its execute method, passing in two arguments. One was the image view, representing where the thumbnail should be displayed once it's loaded, and the other was the URI of the location for that thumbnail image. And those arguments are passed to the doInBackground method, which receives a variable length array called params of type object, and then we use those parameters however we need to. The first of the parameters, the item at position 0, was an image view, so we cast that to type image view and assign it to our image view instance variable of this load thumbnail task class. Then at line 242, doInBackground is going to return the result of calling the Slideshow class's static method getThumbnail, which receives a couple of different parameters. The first is the URI of the location where the image is stored. The second is the content resolver to help us get that image, and we're using the default content resolver that's part of our activity. And then finally, the last item is a bitmap factory.options object, and in this case we're using the default constructor for that object. This basically is used to specify the options for the image that you're loading, and as you'll see when we get to playing a slideshow, you can configure those options to do things like downsample the image. So for example, an image taken with a digital camera can be many megapixels, but the actual resolution on most devices is much smaller than that. So there's no need to load up the image at its original resolution, which will take up lots of memory. Instead, we can downsample the image and display it at the screen size, which takes a lot less memory. Now, once doInBackground finishes its task, we know that the onPostExecute method will get called, and this will have as its value passed as an argument the bitmap that was just loaded, which we will then tell the image view to display on the screen.